Our November meeting, and welcome everybody. And welcome to our people in our public gallery. Councillors, I'll start our agenda with our opening prayer. We give thanks for the contribution by pioneers, early settlers, and for those who fought in the various wars for the fabric of Tenterfield community we have today. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be accepted in thy sight, O Lord. Amen. Acknowledgement of country, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land that we are meeting on today. I'd also like to pay respect to the elders both past and present of the Juckabal, Kamilaroi and Bosalung nations, and extend that respect to the Aboriginal people present. Councillors are all in attendance, so we have no apologies. Disclosures of interest, councillors. No disclosures of interest. Councillors, confirmation. Sorry. No, councillors will sorry. Councillor, we'll do that. When is a good time, Mr. James, to do that? Right, we'll do it towards the end, Councillor. Okay, councillors, with our confirmation of our previous minutes, we have two minutes to deal with. We have our normal meeting in October, and then we have a meeting on the 15th of November, which was an extraordinary meeting. Councillors, are you happy to move those 2 minutes together? Okay. Could I have a motion to do that, please? Councillor Greg Sawyer, thank you. Second by Councillor Bob Rogan. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, councillors, the 2 minutes are there. Would someone who was in attendance at those meetings like to move that they are approved and correct record of the meeting? Councillor Tom Peters, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Greg Sawyer, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors tabling the documents. No documents to be tabled. Councillors urging to lay supplementary items of business. Councillors, we have an addendum item in our, to be accepted in our agenda. It will follow GOV 83/17 and it will be GOV 89/17. Could I have a move in a second, please, to do that, please? Councillor Brian Murray, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. All in favour? Again, carried. Councillors, in a public access session, we have a very, very special day. Councillors, today we are acknowledging Alan Graven, who everybody knows as Suey, who is finishing his, has retired, and Suey received a gold watch as he must have deserved after 30 years, but today we're acknowledging 34 years. Suey commenced work on the 8th of August 1983, retired the 25th of October 2017, a total of 34 years service. Some words have been supplied here by his workmates, Dave Wadwell and Jack Mooney. Suey commenced with council working on a track loader and the construction team. While wheel loaders were introduced, he worked on these, working at a roadside clearing, loading trucks in the gravel pits. He also operated rollers. So he was a good worker but liked a practical joke. Bigger rocks that would need to be built, need to build a road, a tree stump or two, or a dead snake to wake up the tip team. When council sold their beloved loader, he moved on to Parks and Gardens section, where he remained until his retirement. In Suey's time, this is from Mark Cooper, in Suey's time while working with Parks and Gardens, he always managed to be half an hour early each morning, waiting to the toilet and the bin run. If anyone was to speak to Suey, nobody knew he was. Sorry, I'll start that again. If anyone was to speak to Alan Graven, no one knew who he was. He was only ever known as Suey. Suey referred to everyone as boy, including me. One story that comes to mind is that Suey went into a deep sleep after arriving home from a hard day work with council, awakening approximately at 6 p.m. I ring to work colleagues thinking he had slept in. On behalf of the Parks and Garden staff, we'd like to wish Suey good health and happy retirement. Suey, would you like to come forward, please? Ladies and gentlemen, today we acknowledge Suey, but what he does, he represents a lot of our staff with the dedication and passion and involvement that you've had in this community, Suey, over many years, and as a council worker, especially in the last few years as a dedicated Parks and Gardens men I can see with you have been working that you are passionate about your job, you love your gardening job, and it's a credit to you that the condition of our parks and gardens is today, and it will never be forgotten. I wish you well in your retirement and good health, my friend.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, it's been good putting up with the staff, mate. Putting up with yous. As yous councillor go, we do have much to do with yous, but we just sort of went along and done our own thing, May and Glen, and what had to be done, we done. We seen something there had to be done, or sometimes be in contact with Coop, and other times we just go ahead and do it.
As you should.
And you should. That's the way things roll, and that's about all I got to say.
Well done.
Yeah, right.
Well done. And with the support that Sue's done, I do today, I do want to note the staff that have turned up to witness his presentation today. It means everything, fellas. I know because of the great work you do that you all need to go back to work. But Sue, you're more than welcome to hang around and witness the riveting debate that we go into here. And please stay for morning tea. But we need to keep going with the meeting, but you're more than welcome. And I really mean that. It'd be great to see you hang around and have a yarn. So thanks everybody, and once again, thank you, sir.
I'll take a quick photo with the staff.
Yeah, of course you
Come on, gentlemen, anyone in an orange shirt?
All right.
Yeah, you guys front and centre, and the other guys behind you. But we have to see you all. Come on, you have to come around the front, mate. Sorry.
My
No, I'll get it.
bloody package.
Everyone?
There, guys.
Thanks, bro. Okay, councillors, I'll bring the meeting back into order. Thanks very much. It's important that we acknowledge our wonderful staff we have, especially with the years of dedication that Sue's put in there, and he's a legend in his own lunchbox, and we all know that. So thank you, sir. Councillors, move on with our agenda. We've done the community consultation. There is no Merrill minute. Recommendations for items is considered confidential. Councillors, what I'm asking, we do have an item confidential. I'm happy to leave it there as item 15. But I'm asking that be deferred today, but I'll leave it there to discuss because we have more information. It wouldn't justify the report. I say that with utmost respect to Kim who put the report together, but there's more information to go with that, and I'd like to defer that to December meeting. There's a fair bit more that's happened there, which is all positive to do the report. It wouldn't be fair to us as councillors to debate or speak about that until we get the information we've received as late as last week to do with the meeting we've had with the premises. So I asked you to do that, but we're happy to take questions and deal with that in the confidential. So are you happy that we do that? Okay, thank you. Okay, councillors, we'll start with our reports. We start on page 7, councillors, with your hard copy. It's item COM 14/17. Name of the new Niche Wall Memorial War Fraternal Cemetery. Can I have a move and second to deal with this item, please? Councillor Berry, I thank you. Seconded by Councillor McNish, I thank you. And I hand over to Kylie, to Andre, sorry, to present the report. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor and Councillors, as you would be aware, we have any number of situations in our community from time to time where we would like to recognise the contributions of people that have contributed to our history and advanced the cause of Tenfield and surrounds. Now, at this point in time, this report talks to the fact that there's been a new memorial niche that has been put in place at our cemetery. At this point in time, it remains unnamed or not attached to any specific person. It's been suggested in this report that council effectively go out to the community to seek proposals for the naming of that niche. It's an opportunity to recognise people in our community, and this report talks to at least one suggestion relating to Mr. Fred Paddle. So the opportunity is there, councillors, to recognise people, and so I commend the report to you in the process thereafter.
Any questions to Andre to do with the report, councillors? Councillor McNish?
Yeah, Andre, who suggested Mr. Paddle's name?
Councillor, it's not noted in the report, and I'm pretty sure that just came to some staff's attention and was researched accordingly. So,
Were there any other names mentioned?
I'm not aware of any other names, but that said, if we go out to the community, I'm sure that there will be submissions. There might well be submissions from other community members who might have different views. So that's why we say go out to the community and then bring a report back to council with the options.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Andre, to do with the report? No other questions, councillors? All happy to receive? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, moving on to page 10 in your hard copy. It's item EC 031/17, Infrastructure Environment Regulation, to do with the services update. Can I move in a second to deal with this report, please? Councillor Mike Beckley, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Greg Sawyer. Thank you. And once again, I'll hand over to Andre to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, this report is our monthly report on our operations around the area. I suppose the highlights is probably more in the bridges space and the water space. Certainly preparations have been made, and there has been some planned equipment already delivered to site relating to the bridge that's failed up in Birmingham, putting in place a replacement structure, temporary structure that's been mentioned in the past. So that's happening, and we do indicate in the report that that should be in place in December. I think it's mid-December as stated in the report. So that's a highlight. The other one is the fact that work is well and truly underway pertaining to the dam wall upgrade at Tenterville Dam. So that's happening, and I'm open to questions.
Questions, Andre, to deal with the report? Councillor Berry?
On the floor, Mr. Mayor.
You have 4 questions. I'll take 2, councillor, to be
Okay.
fair to the other councillors, and we'll come back to you.
Now for water treatment, we're going to use a submersible pump there. Can we look at using a floating submersible or a Venturi, so you can set the pump up in the shed and just have the Venturi in the water and it gets washed away, it doesn't cost as much.
Councillor, you're going into detail that I haven't dived into this yet, but when it comes to submersible pumps, I know what I've used in the past, and it's been submersible means submersible. A pump that's down in the water, down in the base of where you're pumping from, and they're built for purpose. They're meant to be robust. So I could certainly take that as a question to follow up with you as to the detail that you so require.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that that's important because some technology has changed a lot, and how they yank and everything else. Just got to look around the ground field, they can tank them in some weird spots there at the moment. The other one is it cost effective to repair these wooden culverts? Well, I know there's one being repaired here, we just did another one on the Carriage Lane. And I just really doubt the cost effectiveness of repairing them and replacing the cement culvert.
Yeah, Councillor, you're talking about our small wooden bridges in effect, just single spans. Look, you're probably well on the money, dare I say, when it comes to cost effectiveness. It depends how much work's got to be done. If it's a case of just re-decking, right, a lot of these simple single span structures are just basically running planks or cross members that are spiked into girders, basically timber girders. Now, they do rattle loose from time to time, and providing you've got sound girders and sound abutments, then it's not too much of a cost to sort of re-spike and make good, right, the issues at hand. That said, if there's got to be replacement of girders and fixing up of abutments, you're absolutely right. You know, it's more cost effective to just pull the timber structure out and replace it. And it's certainly our intention as part of the, I suppose, timber bridge replacement strategy, which it will be looked at certainly in the next 12, actually sooner rather than later. It is part of our intention to progressively replace these structures, not be spending lots and lots of money just forever and a day maintaining them.
Thank you. Councillor, we'll come back here to indicate if you have other questions. Councillors, questions to Andre to do with the report. Councillor Bromwich, Petrie.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Andre, just with bridge works, I'd just like you to know that Willamember Creek Bridge, the decking is getting a bit dodgy and something a bit of a bargain of the bridge itself. Now, but my questions relate to Bunnamanoo landfill, where you've stated that covering the active cell is non-existent, and the waste oil point was assessed as unsafe. Were these, particularly the non-existent cover, which you're getting fixed, was it supposed to have always been covered? It's just something that hasn't been done prior to your appointment?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor, it is normal practice for EPA requirements to provide some sort of earthen cover, right, to successive lifts on our landfill. I know of places that basically daily cover their operations, but then they're big landfills that are getting a lot of material coming in, etc. The simple answer is, up until my time, I can only speak for my time, and it's just come to my attention that we weren't putting a cover, an urban cover over. And the aim of the exercise there is to just mitigate, I suppose, ingress of vermin and also having rubbish that are flying all over the place. Now, that is somewhat mitigated out of the landfill by virtue of the fact that we have fencing around the particular cell, and also we have a compactor, sheep's compactor, that is compacting the rubbish down. So when I went out there and inspected the landfill, I was quite happy to walk over the landfill as is without cover. I wasn't stepping in rubbish, it was well and truly compacted. So I do not believe it's functionally an issue, but EPA have looked at it and have brought the matter up and it will be dealt with.
I was going to give a second. My only other question was the incident involving the water card. When do you expect to get a report back on the causal factors relating to
Look, there has been an investigation. I haven't had a look at the detailed report as yet. I know it's been followed through in terms of the causes. But if it would appear that there was a measure of operator error at the end of the day, notwithstanding that we have safe work method studies and people do their risk assessments at the beginning of each and every day. And bearing in mind that council, this council, by the way, is one of the few in New South Wales that are recognised in the area of work health and safety. We have, I know it's a little bit of a digress, but I think things need to be put in context, Council. We recently received back from state cover, I think it was who we insured with, a rebate of close to $30,000 on our insurance policy because of the lack of claims in the workers' comp area, basically the management of our work health and safety. So we are being recognised at the state level for our good work in the work health and safety area. That said, we had this incident, which could have turned nasty, but yes, it was plant damage, but thankfully the person wasn't too badly hurt. And then the insurance said put him in the context. So yes, look, there has been an investigation. The full results are not 100% across, but there has been some operating error. And what we're doing about it going forward is to make sure that people are aware of their environment. There are a few more checks and balances in place, and this is a wake-up call for everybody.
So I just know what procedures might need to be on. Thank you.
Thanks, Andre. Councillor, thank you for your questions. Andre, just before I go to the floor again for questions or comments, I do want to, you raised a really good thing. Councillor, what we need to be appreciative of while we deal with this report and the information that's supplied to us, I mean, it is a lot of information, and Andre, your replies and explanation as the questions go, I thank you. because, especially in situations like that. We don't live in a flat area like Moree or Narrabri. We have range from flat areas to the western side to very steep terrain on the eastern side. And I know that the workers do due diligence as they work need to be aware of that, and I'm sure that they are. But I mean, the main thing you've noted there is that the person was fine. We can always replace machinery, but we can't replace people. And that's and especially to note the reimbursement we've got through the insurance. I mean, that's a huge thing. So it is. Councillors, any more questions to do with the report? Councillor McNish.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question, comments, question to Andre about this untidy, unhealthy premises. If you drive around the town, there are several buildings, blocks, which are, to be honest, an eyesore. Now, I refer one to, there's a block up the other end of town there which belongs to a builder. Now, in my early days on council, he was fined several times for having untidy premises, junk everywhere. It's still the same or worse. Nothing's happened there over the last few years. There's a couple of houses in town. One who, I think it was about 10 years ago, when Rebelco first came, he put a demolition order on one. It was condemned. And the people who owned it appealed because they were going to restore it. Nothing has happened to this date. It's looking worse and worse. There's another house over the other side of the town. I checked my diary, old diary last night. It was 18 years ago the first complaint about that place, about the untidy manner of the junk around it. It's still there and worse. There's a house going out of town a little bit. I counted 15 cars in the yard. Nothing was being done about that place. So I just wonder perhaps if we need to be a little bit, we try to promote our town as being, it is a very pretty town, but if people drive around and see these particular buildings, that's just a snapshot, there are more. It gives the place a bad feel, especially when they're just, obviously the owners aren't doing anything at all to maintain them or upkeep them. Also on range patrol, I noticed there's no infringements issued last month, and hasn't been for a few months. Yet there are several car business owners and workers who park in the main street all day, every day. There's one shopkeeper in particular who gets up people who actually park outside his shop because that's his park. And I just wonder why there's been no infringements issued, especially when the comment is made where the time parking and disabled parking zones have been patrolled. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor. Ronald, did you want to reply?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, I note your comments about unhealthy premises. That said, I can say to you firsthand, there has been a measured follow, right, certainly in the last 3 months that I'm aware of, pertaining to residences and blocks of land in and around Tenterfield. I've even had a meeting with one lady in the Ranger that she was concerned about a neighbour and just an ongoing issue that dated back a few years. That said, Council, in reviewing the records, Council has, probably over the last 5 years or more, followed through these issues from time to time. But we are constraining to the extent that we can issue penalties, etc. And this due process that we've got to go through, first of all, go and see the person, go and do an inspection, give them time to basically make amends or show causes of why they shouldn't be fined. We've gone through that process, and even recently there has been a gentleman that we've arranged knocked on the door and got things sorted. One way or another they got things sorted, so there has been a process that we're going through. That's not to say that it's something that happens very, very quickly, so it's just something to be mindful of. And just because you've got enforcement requirements, enforcement capacity for certain acts of legislation, that does not mean that because you deal with it once, it's going to be dealt with forever and a day. Some people are a little bit recalcitrant. It's a bit like speeding drivers. You police have the capacity to go and enforce and give us fines. Does that stop us from speeding forever and a day? No, occasionally we need to be checked. So it's the same with motor properties. To your issue on with infringements, I am aware that our ranger is out and about. To what extent he has, spent a whole lot of time in the area talking about parking, I would have to sort of ask him that. I know that normally we have 2 rangers in our organisation. We have effectively 1 ranger down at the present time, so we only have 1. So maybe this time, all I can suggest to you is maybe his time's been spread very thinly at the present time, and he's focusing on what he perceives as the most urgent risk.
Thank you, Andre. Councillors, any more questions on Roger do the report? Councillor Rhodes?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a quick question on the upgrade to the dam wall. Is there any sort of estimated time frame for completion?
June next year. Sorry, Andre. But to know that, Andre, we are all very happy that that work started. We know how important it is to do with the timeframes that we're looking at there, to do with the funding and to get it done. But it's good, and I have noted that they're out there into it, and good stuff. So we'll get to Councillor Vera, we'll go back to you. We did indicate you had a couple more questions.
Yeah, 2. I've got 2, Mr Mayor.
I'll allow that, Councillor.
Okay. With our garage sale trial, has any thought been given to having I think you call them reuse, pick up around the town a fortnight later or a week later, just for the larger items that people don't sell, just to try to place up in general? I know they work in other towns, so I can't see why it won't work here.
Through this, Mayor, Councillor, I would suggest to you that thought has not been put to myself as something that we do as an add-on to promoting this this event. But that being said, I know there are some towns and cities around New South Wales that have what they call hard waste collection once, whether it's once a year or what have you, and you have communities put out their hard waste, and that's sort of almost a freebie to the community. That being said, I know there's a great majority of councils that don't go down that path. Mundara was one case in point that we resisted very strongly, and I would actually be suggesting to council that we don't go down that path, because it is something that can cost council quite a lot, and at the end of the day, people have got to be encouraged to be responsible for managing their waste and doing the right thing, not necessarily just relying on others to be passing on their problem to.
Thank you. The other question is, with the news exhibition on Mount Windsor, shoulders are really cracking up. Is there any particular reason why that's happening?
Through Mr Mayor, Councillor, part of the simple answer is that the issue is more the materials that we've got that are being used in the construction of the road. A lot of what work has been done on the Mount Lindesay Road and on our other Shire roads makes use of natural occurring gravels. We don't necessarily buy in a lot of quarry processed product that is a lot more predictable in its behaviour and is a lot more heavy duty in terms of its to the extent to which it can last. So we've used local materials to start with, and you would notice from that area that it's largely sandy country, and that's part of the problem. Whilst the seal in the main will perform okay, out on the edges there will be issues with compaction of the sandy material, and also if vehicles go off into that area, there might be a tendency to have a bit of subsidence. So I know at this point in time there's been a certain amount of recompaction of the shoulders, but that's always going to be an issue potentially whilst we use natural gravels, short of spending a whole lot more money on treating the natural gravels with stable and whatever else. So it's just one of those things that is peculiar to working with natural gravels and sandy material for council.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor, for your questions. Councillors, any more questions on the to do the report? There isn't the reports there, councillors. All in favour to receive and note? Against? Thank you. Councillors, move on to page 24 in your hard copy. It's item PNB 26/17. It's a planning and development update. Item move and second here, please, to deal with this item. Councillor Murray, I thank you. Seconded by Councillor Whitehead, I thank you. Once again, I'll hand over to Andre to present the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, This is a standard monthly report, update from our planning developments in and around the Shire. Now, I suppose the takeaways, as I see it, is that you had 19 applications lodged, 16 determined. For all intents and purposes, 21 were dealt with, so it's not as if the council is not keeping on top of things, we're keeping on top of what's coming in. But what is interesting though is when you turn to the second last page of the report, I think it's page 29, a graphical presentation of just how we're going. You look at this year's progress, where we're certainly ahead of where we were last year, and that's right across the board, so that's a positive for the council in developing around the Shire.
Good thing to know. Questions to Andre to do with the report, councillors? If there's no questions, I do want to thank you, and I know it's been there before, but something you did ask for, page 27 to do with the outstanding applications. With the status and application comment, I really appreciate that as mayor and as a councillor with that comment, because it informs us more as councillors what's actually going on there, and it's appreciated. So thank you for putting that comment. Councillors, the report's there. All in favour to receive and vote? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on to page 31 in your hard copy. It's item EMB 27/17, SEP reviewing program for reduction in rural development planning and reform package. Can I have a move and a second here, please, to deal with this item? Councillor Rogan, I thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sawyer. And I thank you. And May's in the room, and as I seen plenty, thank you to May. And I'll go to you to present the report.
Thank you. Through Mr Mayor, councillors, the report today is presented to provide information and a recommendation in relation to the Department of Planning and Environment's latest planning reform review package. It particularly looks at primary production and rural development planning reform. At the moment, as you can see in the report, we have a suite of 5 different state policies that set out policy, development standards and guidelines for rural development. There is duplication across those policies. A lot of them have been in place for a long time. And what the new policy framework will do is look at those duplications, remove them and prepare and put in place a rural primary production and rural development SEP that deals with all those issues, and also make changes to the standard instrument LEP, which will then fall into council's LEP as well. From a planning perspective, this makes a planner's life a lot easier to navigate through when we're giving advice to potential developers. The suite of reforms are actually more broader than what they currently are. There's no greater restrictions to current requirements, and it actually allows for more development without consent. I'm going to take any questions as well.
Before I do, to May, if there's any, and obviously the meeting was in Tamworth on Monday, so you attended?
Yes, yes, I did.
Just before I go to the floor, can you give us how did it all go?
Yep.
Basically.
So the forum on Monday spoke not only in relation to this, but all of other local government matters. From that meeting, they have actually determined to extend the exhibition period, so that will now go to the end of January, which gives a little more time. And in terms of the draft SEP, or the SEP that will come out of this reform package, it's likely that it won't be publicly exhibited. They will just implement and gazette the SEP based on the explanation of the intended effect and any submissions that come in during that process. That's their thoughts at this stage, and that's what came out of that process. So there was general discussion and agreement across all the local government areas, and there was quite a few representatives, that this was a step forward in terms of making it easier for everyone.
Good, thank you, Joanna. Questions to May to do with the report, councillors? Councillor Brummer, Petrie?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. To May, I see some of it refers to environmental sensitive areas that are mapped in our LEP. At some stage, can you show us what the basis is for that mapping, because I don't quite follow it when you look it up. But specifically relating to this, on page 33, where it's got a draft of the outline of matters to be included, and you've got DA is required for 50 plus head of cattle, 200 plus of pigs, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then down the bottom says a cattle, sheep, or goat feedlot dairy restricted pig farm or poultry production where the operational or facility is located within 500 metres of a residence not associated with the development. Is that only if the numbers in that feedlot are above the stipulated 50, 20, 200 and 1,000, depending on the species. So if someone's got 20 cattle in a yard feeding them grain, does that constitute a feedlot? I know it doesn't under our LEP, I'm just wondering whether that particular clause only relates where those numbers are exceeded.
Through you, Mr Mayor, in relation to the first question, the environmentally sensitive mapping, Council's LEP doesn't have an environmentally sensitive map layer as defined under the LEP and the standard instrument. We have what's referred to as sensitive land, which is not the same as environmentally sensitive land. I know that sounds confusing, but the sensitive land was a result of our conversion LEP, and it was land that was mapped back in the early 80s. And it covers a vast range of our shire, and we don't classify that as environmentally sensitive. The only environmentally sensitive land that we classify is the dam catchment area, which we have mapped.
And that would be standard, right?
Yes. And in relation to the second question, that's a direct extract out of the attachment number 1 in the booklet.
That's correct.
And it is an or, so it's not an and, so it is an or. So if you look at the end of those, so it's or. So it would be, if it does fall within those categories, so within 500 metres of a residence, it would trigger consent requirements.
Thank you, Tomato. All questions any other questions, I'm sorry, or comment to Tomato to do the report, councillors? No? The report's there. Councillors all happy to adopt? Favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Tomato. Councillors, move on to page 35. It's item GOV 78/17. It's a corporate officer service update. Can I have a move in a second here, please, to deal with this item? Councillor Greg Sawyer, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Mike Vickery, thank you. And I'll hand over to Kylie. Thank you, Kylie. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I believe that Andre stole a little bit of my thunder. I was very excited to get down to my work health and safety stats and recognise the good work that Wes has been doing. So I'll start with that because it is really good news. Tenterfield's one of only 3 councils in our region to actually receive that performance payment from statewide. And one of 36 from the 186 councils in the state. So I think that's an achievement that everybody within the council should be really proud of. And of course, we've been talking for some time about our extended period of no incidences. Unfortunately, within the report, we have had some minor incidents, and so they range from cut fingers, etc. that we do report on, so we're still managing those. But I think council as a whole, especially the staff from our outdoor teams who are one of our larger at-risk groups, should be very, very proud of the contribution they've made, and that will return an amount of $36,549 to the council coffers. That's a great win all round for the safety of our teams. So moving on from there, in other exciting news, we've had the sound trails also been very well received within the community. I think Harry and Hayden for the great work that they've done on that. We've also had approximately 14 people participating in those, so that's a really good result for the size of our community. And we have had some interest in the economic development space at this point in time for prospective new businesses relocating. Obviously, I can't say too much about that, but there is a level of interest, and I think that 3 is also very positive within that short time period. Andrew will be here today to give us a lot more of an overview over the finance, so I don't intend to delve into that terribly much. We'll talk about that quite a lot, unless of course there are any questions to that, and obviously our library visitation, it's also pleasing to note that we're getting a lot more users for our libraries, so more than happy to take any questions from councillors to do with that.
Before we do go to Kylie, I just wanted to note on this. I think it needs to be noted that to do with the council as a whole and how well we work with our chamber, the Wiley Town statements there and in that paragraph, that's good stuff, and our relationship with the chamber and with the community, it's so important. So that just adds strength to that. With us being supporting the other, and to do with training on page 38, to do with the TAFE and the wonderful facility we have on offer now, with the opening of the refurbishment a couple of weeks ago. And then us as the council, we were a heavy user of that with training, and I'd like our councillors to know that. It means everything can for the community to use it, because we have a wonderful facility there in Offa, and I think we're very lucky. Any questions to Kylie to do with the report? Councillor Forbes.
Yes, Mr Mayor, through you to Kylie. On page 38, recruitment segment there, just wondering if you could just step us through what is the process for.
Councillor, sorry, can you put your mic
Oh,
on?
sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, Mr Mayor, Kylie. Page 38, recruitment. I just want you to step us through what is the process in that recruitment for a backhoe operator. You know, I'd just like to know what is the process involved, etc. Who's involved and doing the selection process.
Right, my understanding, you have to forgive me for not probably monitoring that to a deep operational level, but my understanding is that we've advertised, and that as part of our processes, the recruitment selection panel would be called of people who have been trained in recruitment selection, and then they would, as I said, make an assessment of the applicants against the proposed position, and then from that they would actually offer interview. The chosen person would attend an interview whereby they're able to demonstrate their skills, and an offer would be made after the panel has considered that.
I'm just interested to know who could be on the selection panel, that's all. What positions within the council would constitute the panel, that's all.
I don't think that there's that we have a prescribed panel of people who have been trained in merit selection. So quite regularly you would have the manager of that branch or unit participating in that, as well as a suitably qualified other technical person in most instances, and an independent. So HR is usually represented on that panel for independence and process, and then we have a person who usually has some technical understanding, as well as another person who is suitably qualified, and that's so that we get a wide range of perspectives when assessing an applicant's merit against the selection criteria.
Just one further thing is, would there be anybody on the panel who was sort of not part of the council staff?
My understanding here is no. I have seen that happen in other organisations whereby external parties have been placed on panels, but they're usually specific purpose, and it's written into the procedures of that particular council that they can do that. So there's nothing stopping it. That is not our normal process, and obviously one of the considerations with that is to make sure that the person is suitably qualified, so they actually understand the process of merit selection and how we try and determine that equitably for those people who are applying for those positions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kylie. Councillor Tom Peters.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Quick question to Kylie. I imagine the guys put into the job, or the ones that are being interviewed, would have to have a certificate of competence, because no matter what you do in the agricultural industry, you have to have a certificate for everything. To drive a tractor with a front-end loader, you're supposed to be licensed to do it. I imagine this guy would have to be able to show that he could drive one before you even interview him.
My understanding here is that we do have a level of competence assessment. Once again, I can't tell you what that is. Some places do have a competency assessment. Other places do a verification of the training and qualifications that people have in the on a competence assessment.
Okay. My questions to Kylie to do with the report. Councillors, I'll bear with me. I said, please put your microphone on, because it will not record if you don't. So that's for everybody. I'll go to you, Councillor McNish. I'll come over here and I'll go to you, Councillor Rogan.
Because just a question on that ranger leave replacement continued. It's my understanding that one of the rangers has left the employer council and he's got another job. Is that correct?
At this point in time, we do have a staff member who is on leave, and that position needs to be backfilled.
Backfield, what, backfield you mean?
I mean, somebody needs to perform that task while that person is on leave for the organisation.
Okay, is someone doing it now? Or?
My understanding is that it was covered by existing staff, which is why we're actually looking to fill that position in the short term, until such time as the incumbent relinquishes their substantive claim, is the word, so the person has a claim to that particular position until they resign their leave.
How long is that going for? Like, does it go for 12 months or 2 years or 6 months or?
The currency depends on the leave of that that particular person and what they've been able to negotiate with their supervisors. So if there's a situation for leave without pay, etc., then that has to be directly negotiated. Otherwise, we need to provide the leave that individual is entitled to.
Just annoys me a little bit, someone's actually got another job, but they're still holding up employment of a new person for this job. So I guess it's their entitlement, but that just doesn't seem right to me.
That's the area we work in council, and I do note and appreciate your comments, but be fully aware that everything legally and to do with this is in hand. Councillor Bronwyn Petrie. I'm sorry, no, I'll go in, I'll go to Bob. You.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, for Kyle. Same avenue of questioning, just given that there's an obvious, I guess, a time poor situation for the current ranger with one down, is this temporary replacement likely to simply be advertised and recruited locally, or if there's no one, because especially with the usual problems with getting the qualified people, are likely to go further afield for that replacement? So we can fill the previous.
I don't, I guess I'm not comfortable to answer that perhaps to the depth, because I don't know who has been recruited, but our process is to try and recruit a person for the interim, and that may well be through a labour hire company who can provide us with a technically qualified person, or it may be through local advertisement. Basically doing it source that person, and for the particular period of time still applying those merit processes.
Councillors, I'm sorry, but I'm not hoping I'm cutting you short, Councillor, and to the rest of the councillors, please be fully aware that when we're speaking about employment and how council goes through, that it is an operational matter, and run through our CEO. What I am offering, and with respect, I think it'd be good for all of us, if we want to bring this up in a workshop, it's more of an open forum for us to explain how it all works. It might be a good place to ask this, and be noted that as senior staff come back at a workshop in the near future, give us a run through of how it all works so we understand it. Because we need to be very, very careful, and please respect what I'm saying, in a public meeting, talking about positions, and I know no one's mentioned any names, but be careful, that's all I'm saying, because everybody's got their private life to deal with. I'll go over here to Councillor Bronwyn Petrie.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Kylie, thanks for your report. I was just wondering, with the two meetings attended by the tourism officer and one by Harry as well, the destination networks as well as the sound trails, I was wondering with the destination networks, where was the meeting, and were there a lot of other councils represented there, because he's such a huge region, obviously there's the difficulties that you've stated here with that. And the same with the New England Sound Trails meeting. I was just wondering where that was, and if there was a lot of interest in the other councils, and then I just have numbers.
That's all right. Unfortunately, I'll have to take that one. We're happy to provide you with the information, but there's been a lot of meetings, and I'd hate to get my meetings confused. To be fair, I just want to say that, you know, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, there's a lot going on in that space, so I can certainly get back to you about the specifics of the destination network. Obviously, we are a member, and from time to time, they will hold different meetings with different attendees, so from a service provider level, right the way through to different people attending. So I'd like to actually check who attended the particular meeting that's referred to, be able to give you the information.
No worries, Stacey. I was just wondering the level of interest. The other thing with workforce development, the Office of Local Government grant that we were able to get, was that, I had the idea that was to do with workforce development. I just wanted you to give us a bit more information on that.
So, yes, certainly, Councillor. So at this stage, Council actually applied and was successful under the Innovation Fund, off the top of my head, for approximately $110,000 from the Office of Local Government to support our workforce development. As part of that, Council created a program which was spoken extensively about since about 18 months ago. We're now at the end of that particular program. It needs to be approved by the end of December and back to the Office of Local Government. That program, and I picked up on a couple of comments from the workshop, has been supplemented by Council's training budget. So that's, I guess, intended to make those opportunities available broadly and to dovetail into Council's existing training schedule.
Sorry, just.
Please,
Sorry.
Councillor, before I go, if you have more than one question, to be fair, everybody,
Just
please
information.
indicate.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Or I can do it after everyone else.
No, no, I'm
I
with
was
you
just
now.
going to let you know, through Kyla, because it's her section. On Sunday, I was in Brisbane and I went into an art gallery at Paddington and there was a painting of Blood Rock.
Yep.
And a Belgian artist who
Did you
comes.
buy it?
Not a but it really, really lovely. And in fact, she was open to letting us have it here on display in the visitor centre, but whatever. And I showed her other pictures of some like so very keen on this area. I've encouraged her to come back and maybe even, do an exhibition or whatever. So I just thought I'd just say that.
Right, Councillor, never stop working. Councillor Eric.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Colin, Chief Operating Officer. Yep. Is that right? Chief what?
Chief Corporate.
Chief Corporate Officer. Yeah. With the library borrowing, does that include Durban?
All of those numbers are aggregated in our statistics, so all of our library services, so includes the centre retirement
Yeah.
and our home library.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. I just wondered how you collate those figures.
The system, we actually have a library management system, which will identify, your borrowing number, etc., and then we actually provide those reports over to us. I think Jenny included that in the report, that she's completed her annual report to the state library as well. So we provide those statistics on the state library, but also obviously to council and monitor that service.
Councillors, any more questions to colleagues to deal with the report? If not, the report's there to receive and note. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, you want to do one more, have smoke out now? Sue's here staff and he's better clap off the chair. Have smoke out now. Okay, we'll break the smoke and then we'll come back, councillors. Thank you. Okay, councillors, welcome back and thanks for sharing morning tea as always, and farewell to Sue. He's a top man and he's enjoyed staying and having so it's all good. Councillors, we move on with our agenda on page 41, and it's item GOV 79/17, it's Code of Conduct Complaints Statistic Report. Can I have a move and second to deal with this, please? Councillor Don Forbes, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Roland Petrie, thank you. And I do welcome Erica. Welcome to our meeting. We'll be as kind and as soft as we can to present the report. Oh, sorry, Tom.
And I'll just make a very, very quick start. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for welcoming Erica today. So as we said, this is Erica's first report to council, and as part of the process of involving our management staff, that's why we've invited Erica to present that report today. One of the first ones. So if there's any further questions at the end, feel free to direct them to me, but Erica is more than capable of answering them all, I'm sure.
Thank you, Kyle. Okay, councillors, questions or comments to do the report? Sorry?
So, through you, Mr. Smith,
Sorry, you present.
I will present the
Thank you,
report.
councillor. Sorry. More than capable, we've been told.
Thank you. So the purpose of the report is to provide council with the Code of Conduct Complaint Statistics report that we have submitted for the period of 1st of September 2016 to 31st of August 2017. This is a requirement for councils to report on any code of conduct complaints that have been made in each 12-month period, made under local government, under the Local Government Act and under government regulations, and it falls within our procedures for the administration of the code of conduct complaints, where we are required to report. For the period that we note here, we have had three complaints made to council. There have been no complaints referred, though, further to the Office of Local Government.
Okay, councillors, reports and funding, any questions? Through Kylie to Erica? No? All happy to receive a note, councillors? In favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on to page 48, hard copies, GOV 80/17. Code of Conduct and Penal Conduct Reviewers. Could I have a move in a second here once again to deal with this item? Councillor Mike Petrie, I thank you, and seconded by Councillor Don Forbes, and I thank you. And once again, I'll hand over to Kylie and Erica to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. As part of council's requirements to observe and meet the model code of conduct and procedures, we are required to establish a panel of reviewers for code of conduct complaints for this purpose. Now, recently, we have had the existing panel of reviewers expire. It was established in July 2013, as the report notes. The expiry at the end of July 2017 indicates that council is now required to invite submissions for reviewers to be appointed to another panel for a period of 4 years. So I note there that we have recommended that we advertise for this, for expressions of interest to sit on the panel, and that we write to previous members of the panel that has concluded in July this year and thank them for their services.
Councillors, the report's there in front of you. Any questions? Councillor Bromwich, back you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Erica. Just wondering, what is the process with the panel? Does that mean if a code of conduct is actually referred to them, the whole panel meet, or it's just enough to one or two of them?
So through you, Mr Mayor, typically it would be one of the panel members would be identified as being suitable. Usually because there may be a conflict of interest with a number of panel members, so that's why you would have a number of panel members to start with on your actual review panel, so that you don't have a situation where there may be a potential conflict of interest with any particular complaint.
Thank you, Eric. Any more questions, councillors? Councillor John McNish.
Thank you, Eric. These guys, these reviewers, are they on a salary or a stipend or?
No, they're paid on the basis of the fee for service for the particular work done at that time. So they're not paid a particular holding fee or any of that type of stipend.
So they get the job and there's no cause of complaints at all, there's no money outlaid by council?
There are small amounts that are outlaid for the work that's undertaken in undertaking an investigation.
If there's no work?
If there is no work, they're not paid money.
Oh, good, okay.
Thank you, councillor. Councillors, any more questions?
We must be, just an observation, we must be lowering average 3 complaints in 1 year compared to 26 in 4.
All good?
We double up.
Okay. Okay, councillors. The report's there. Councillors to receive, all in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, we move on to, thank you, Erica. And as the chairs change and Andrew come in, waiting in the wings, we move on to page 52 in your hard copy, councillors, item GOV 81/17, to do with finance and accounts. Can I have a move and second here, please? Councillor Brian Murray, I thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Greg Sawyer, thank you. And I hand over to Andrew as our to do with our finance and accounts. Welcome, Andrew, as always. I thank you for being so patient. And I'll hand over to you to present the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The report's in front of you, it's fairly self-explanatory. At the end of October, we had $16 million in the bank and roughly another $800,000 odd in our trading account. So I put the council for comment on the document.
Questions, councillors, to Andrew? No? All happy to receive a note? All in favour? Against? Carried. Page 54 in your hard copy, councillors. Item GOV 82/17, posted expenditure report. Go and move the seconder, please, to deal with this item. Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Once again, I'll hand over to Andrew to present the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. What we have before you is our posted expenditure report, which reports to all our capital activities up to the end of October. There was one item that was that currently is unbudgeted, $1,400 relating to mains extension. There will be a report coming forward in relation to that into the future meeting. Other than that, I submit the report to council.
Questions for Andrew, councillors, to do the report? Councillor Bronwyn Petrie?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Andrew, in the budget there, under the general fund transport network, I was just wondering, it says Main Street complete final project stage. There's still $179,000 to go. What else is needed to complete that stage?
Okay, in relation to that 189 is relates to loan funds that councils can loan, as you may inquire, under the LERS program, and that amount remains unspent at this point in time. I understand that the work that has been pretty much completed because council was able to undertake work cheaper than was originally forecast.
It's good and noted.
And that as a consequence of that, those monies remained unspent, but that will require much work between council and the grant provider who subsidises the interest on the loan as to any further works that may be done. But it's just an indication that those funds still remain in outstanding.
Thank you, Andrew.
Another one related to the automated doors at the visitor centre, which was raised prior to us approving the budget. To get that frozen, because we questioned the necessity for it. And just wondering if that is still, those funds are still frozen and could perhaps be allocated to a better place.
Before we go to Andrew, councillor, I will just go to Terry for some comment.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. A couple of weeks ago, I brought this up with the officer involved, and again about a week and a half ago, and I've asked Andre through the officer to put a report to council about the visitor information tours. There was two other things of note. One of them was sills, or meaning window sills, which we found out to be on the School of Arts, which desperately need to remain in the program. There was also some funds for this building. There was a little bit of confusion with that, but it'll all be made clear in the report. There were some things that may have been stated as required for the building that don't need to be, but since then I've been made aware of things that weren't stated that do need to be. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Forbes. Microphone, councillor, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yep.
You've got to get used to that.
Sorry about it.
Thank you. Andrew, just looking at the summary on page 54, and it's the second sentence. I just wondering if you could just sort of just elaborate on that sentence. The second sentence in the summary, please, at this time, for items.
Yes, that was yes, councillor, that was a typo. When this was put together originally, there was further work done on the summary which you have before you, and as a consequence of that revision, the adjustment wasn't made to the report which it should have been. So it was only one item. It was a case of there was a couple of budgets that had been left off the sheet which originally had made it look quite visible writing when there was actually only one.
Councillor Brian Murray.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I just want to draw your attention to the completion of the main street. That hasn't been quite completed yet, as there was recommendation made at the time to plant trees in the western car park to entice more business houses to park their cars onto the shed, and for people travelling in who had pets in their car, etc., etc. Now the reason I'm saying this is because I don't want it lost.
It won't be, councillor. You raise a really good point. We respect us as a council with the changes we've had in our staff under new management, and very good. Those things need to be noted, and as Mayor, I note that, and you reminded me that is definitely in our program. So obviously as councillors, the staff are aware of that and will be kept informed as that progresses. But you raised a really pointed point, and terrible, but I mean that is to be done. Yeah, it was in the program.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors, to do with the report to Andrew? No? Reports in front of you, councillors. All in favour to receive a note? Against? Carried. Councillors, we move on to page 56 in your hard copies. Item GOB 83/17. Basic financial report software. Can I move the second to deal with this item, please? Councillor Gary Berry, I thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sawyer, and I thank you. And once again, I'll hand over to Andrew to present the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council has had in its budget for the upcoming years to upgrade the financial reporting software. About 3 years ago, Council invested in a system called SynergySoft, which operates our records and our financials generally. But the ease in which information is able to be extracted from that system is fairly low. And a lot of councils right around the state and around Australia, in fact, use a product such as PowerBudget or similar to allow people to be able to get the information easily. Now, the importance of that is because obviously by making the information more easily available, it allows managers to be able to review their budgets and be able to keep track of their expenditure and so on in a simpler way than they can currently. It will also bring efficiencies in terms of being able to provide reports to council, among other things. So, as a result, this has come up today because we're looking to spend money this year. These funds are already set aside now in internal reserves as part of it, and therefore we're just looking now to get council permission to move into this current financial year and move forward on this project.
Questions to Andrew to do with it, Councillor Sawyer?
Thanks, Mr Mayor, through you to Andrew. I'm fully behind the idea of getting a new financial reporting system because we all have difficulties in getting information out. The question I would like answered is, by purchasing this particular system that you're looking at, what is the ease of integration to our existing system so that the reports can be dealt with, or is it simply designed to buy a package that will solve our initial problems and will have further IT expenditure down the track?
Good question, Councillor. Thank you.
Certainly, it is a package, so you go in and you buy a package if you like, and what it does is it's over the top of our current financial system and provides that ease of information and reporting and also budgeting as well. I didn't mention that earlier. And certainly I would anticipate as if council requires further reporting or legislation changes, no doubt we'll have to spend additional money to modify what they call views, which is basically the report as it comes out, but I would expect that to be ad hoc rather than ongoing.
Thank you. Questions? Yeah, of course you can. I'll go to Terry before I go to you, Councillor Bromwich. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. In past lives, I've used quite a few different systems, one of them being PowerBudget, but there's others in the market. What happens in local government is the people that are head down and working on the financial systems are indeed experts on it, but they aren't actually the people that make decisions on a month-to-month basis to spend the money, and they're not actually the ones that control the monthly budget expenditure. By the time a trend is noticed by someone in finance, the money's already spent and we're already over budget. As part of the conditional management of change process and the monthly operational report, which from now on will be known as the Separate Success Report, which we provided to Council probably in the February 2018 Council meeting, if not the March 2018 Council meeting. One of the 5 sections in the report will consist of graphs with the expenditure aligned to managers and budgets the best we can. It's an ongoing process. It won't be perfect to start with because there's a lot of things that need to be lined up. This or other proprietary off-the-shelf financial packages will enable managers, instead of trolling through what is effectively sheets and sheets and sheets of numbers, to, in less than a couple of seconds, look at each of their budget responsibilities and know where the direction's going. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, for your comments. Councillor Bromwich.
Sorry, Terry's just answered.
Thank you. Councillors, any more questions to do with the report? No? Sorry, Councillor Berry.
I'm just curious with these, what do you call this? Software package, yeah. With the software package itself, is training included in that? I presume there has to be a bit of training to understand it.
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Berry. There will be training on the package to allow officers to be able to use it and manipulate it as required.
Thank you, Andrew. Councillor, any more questions to do with the report? Officers' recommendations in front of us. Councillors, all in favour? Against? Carry on. Councillors, we move on to the addendum items. Everybody got a copy of the addendum? We did move that this be dealt with in this part. It is item GOB 89/17, so budget review as at the 30th of September 2017. Can I have a move and a second to deal with this, please? Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Second by Councillor Roden, and thank you. And once again, I will hand over to Andrew to present the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As required under the Act, we are required, Council is required to review its budget on a quarterly basis, hence the report before you today. Most of the movement that you see among the sheets has to do with the move that Council made last year in developing the budget to a service-based reporting approach, so that each service is now reported individually as aligned with the integrated reporting framework. Now, as a result of that, there's been a number of transfer of wages out of some areas and placed into others to reflect the costs associated with each service. And so a lot of the movement has been around that in there today. But the items that are probably of greater note relate to the transport area, in particular some of the grant funding and costs associated with Mount Lindsay Road and with the repatriation of storm damaged roads from the March event. Now, in relation to Mount Lindsay Road, what has been forecast is that we aren't going to complete $8 million this year. That it is anticipated that there will be $3.5 million worth of expenditure thereabouts, and therefore $3.5 million worth of grant funding received back by Council in relation to those works. Further, there's $1.6 million worth of natural disaster preparation work, and equally funded $1.6 million worth of grant funding in relation to that. The other item that I just want to bring to Council's attention is that we have retained the federal assistance grant at its full amount, even though last year we received half of it. And there's two reasons for that. The first being that at this stage, based on prior experience, it's quite likely that we will receive another half of the grant round about during this year, just based on what's happened in the past. But in the event that should not happen, the half that was received last year, and remember we've got exactly the same amount of cash, was restricted and obviously it's made available in this year's budget from last financial year to this. So with that said, I now open the Council for questions.
Questions to Andrew to do with the report. Councillor Berry, and I'll go down the line. Any councillors?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you to Andrew. I didn't quite understand what you said about the Mount Lindsay Road with the funding there, because I was under the opinion that we passed in the budget last year to get that shovel ready to start in July this year, and I'm just wondering what the problem is.
I might pass that across to Andre.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth, Andrew. So thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, Councillor, with Mount Lindsay Road, as you know, that's a $24 million project that was programmed to be done over 3 years, starting this financial year. Council, at a high level, I think in its long-term financial plan, had allocated $8 million per year, right? As you're aware, I came on board at the end of May, and there was, something I picked up reasonably quickly. It was just the level of preparedness, or dare I say, the lack of level of preparedness to go out to contract. And there was some question mark over whether the funds were actually locked in or not. Right? So there were a number of things that needed to be done. First and foremost, we need to get on and perfect design. We needed to confirm funding. So that was an early days level of activity. And there had to be what's called, just trying to think of the right words, project proposal developed, which was given to the RMS for on-forwarding to the feds to get the funding locked in. Notwithstanding that it was in budget papers, right, there's due process that you've got to go through to actually get the funding. So part of that project proposal was a revamp of what works were going to be done, when they were going to be done. So from a timing point of view, and in that proposal we identified reasonably early that there's no way in the world we could spend $8 million in this current financial year. So that revamp of the timing of the expenditure is being picked up now just for their budget review.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Yes, through you, Mr Mayor.
Microphone, Councillor.
Oh, sorry. Through you, Mr Mayor, to Andrew. I just wanted clarification what some of these accounting terms mean. I'm not an accountant. So looking at page 3 and in that table there, table 2, you've got, reallocation of salary and wages to other services. It figures quite prominently on page 3 and 4. And in some of the variations, you've got brackets around some of those figures, and some of the figures don't have brackets around. So if you could clarify for me, because as I said, I'm not an accountant. So appreciate that, please.
Certainly. As I stated earlier, the overall wages bill hasn't changed. So what we've estimated salary and wages hasn't changed. But what we have done is originally we would have had, for example, say $1 million under corporate services. The corporate services looks after accounting and technology. It looks after economic development. It looks after tourism and so on. So rather than have it all just sitting under administration and there's no salary cost, for example, against tourism, the idea is to allocate that portion of the salaries into those services so that they're properly costed and you can actually see the true expense related to each of those activities. Hence why that's been moved around. So that's part A of it. And in terms of the brackets means it's a negative, so it means that it's costing us more. And the ones that where they're positive, that means that we've reduced the expense or increased the income. It's a, if you like, it's a simple way of just looking at whether it's adding to the cost or it's adding to the income. Essentially.
Councillor McNish, you indicate?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Andrew just answered my first query about the reallocation of salary and wages to match services. Sent me quite a few of those, but apparently that's normal procedure, is it? Like in accountancy terms.
The idea of costing things out, Councillor, yes, that's true. Trying to put it to services or to activities, that's normal. This is probably not normal in that this is a transition into that style of thinking and reporting.
Second one is on page 4, that redundancy of senior staff. What's that all about?
Councillor, as you'd be aware, that there was a redundancy towards the end of May, but it didn't actually take place until the new financial year and was unbudgeted, so we had to include that as a result.
Redundancy or resignation?
It's in an account called redundancy, but you could also term it as, but the correct term may well be resignation.
Okay, thank you.
Terry, you want some comment, please?
Through Mr Mayor, I just want to reiterate what Andrew's comment was to Councillor Forbes in relation to the brackets and moving things around. This is stage 1. As Council is aware, and the OLG mentioned this last Thursday week, about the alignment of activities against the 1x1 annual operating plan, otherwise known as the operational plan, and the alignment of accountabilities against the services. This is our best shot at it as we stand at the moment. But I'd like council to bear in mind there's likely to be more of this as we refine the accountabilities, which we just finished a couple of weeks ago. Yesterday week, so next Tuesday, we're aligning the accountabilities with the operational plan, and that eventually, because we know who is addressing those accountabilities and what their cost is to the business, this process will become even more accurate and more reflective of how much each service costs exactly. This is what this attempts to do at the moment. As I said, it's our best guess at this stage, but as things become more finite and the accountabilities line exactly with the operational plan, and when I say exactly, there's two things. They generally speaking, they align now, but the accountability framework has been broken up into strategic, the branch management, development projects or delivery, and servicing. So there'll be different people doing different components of the operational plan, which may or may not mean that some of these cash movements in the future will have to move around and realign themselves to the actual service delivery. I'm not expecting it to be a big thing, but every time an accountability moves, at face value, people say, yes, I've got that accountability, it's under control, but behind the scenes, the finances have to be aligned to that service as well. And this is this process. It's as I said, it's stage one. There's likely to be another couple of stages, and each time they'll be smaller and less in number and less in magnitude as well. And eventually, and I'm not sure of the timing of this, there's a lot of things we've got to do. Eventually, when council goes to adopt a budget, and it might not be the 18-19 budget, it might be the 19-20, once the accountabilities are lined up with the operational plan and the costs for those accountabilities are known and distributed, council will be adopting a budget where the accountabilities and inputs to the operational plan are already aligned, and then this process will become very minor and if not negated altogether. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Did I miss someone down here? I'll go to you, Councillor Bromley, please.
So, Terry, fundamentally what it is, instead of the buckets of money we've got at the moment, they're being divvied up to specific service areas, and so he'll give us a much clearer, and the staff a much clearer position of the finances and what's happening.
Yes, precisely.
I did have, sorry, just one question about the unexpected cost of replacing broken road meters. What's happening there?
Councillor, at our last meeting, there was an item in the expenditure progress report, and they are traffic counters that we had to replace unexpectedly.
We do use them all over the Shire, Councillor.
I mean, do they spray or they get?
Oh, Andre answered that better than me, I don't know.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, they get vandalised from time to time.
But they are in demand, and they're a great tool to work out, the volume of traffic on roads and how people do something to do with that. Okay, councillors, did I miss anybody who had questions to do with this report? I apologise if I did. No more questions, councillors? The report's there to adopt. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. That's the agenda item, councillor. Thank you, Anders. Councillor, if we go back to our main agenda, and we start on the reports of delegates and committees. We're page 60. It's the local traffic committee, councillors. The meeting held on the 19th of October. Being the chair of that, I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Peters, and I thank you. And with the help of Andre, I'm happy and Andre to take any questions, councillors, to do with this report. No questions? Happy to receive them. I'm sorry, Councillor Peters, yes?
Item 10 of the report On the highway where Sandy Flat
Right,
Road.
right, councillor, I'm sorry.
When the intersection of Sandy Flat Road coming onto the highway, was supposed to be signposted to say it was a T section, and I checked it, it's not.
So there is no signs there, councillor?
Cottesville Road is, but not that one.
Okay.
Cottesville Road hardly ever gets used compared to Sandy Flat Road.
We'll make sure we put that on the agenda to go back to that roads and traffic committee meeting. Any more questions, councillors? Yeah, councillor McNish.
Just a couple, Mr Mayor, just on that intersection of Newland Highway and Brooksmart Way.
Yeah.
I can't believe where the value we got for our $90,000 out there. Other waste of money. It achieved absolutely nothing. And all the hullabaloo about the minister coming up and this will save lives and all that cool stuff. What happened? I thought, no, it's not finished yet. And then I realised it is, and I thought, well, that's my opinion.
Can I, yeah.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, you want to say
No,
something?
well, just on that topic,
Yeah.
and I'll ask for some comment from Andre. Councillor, I really note you in the discussion with the Deputy Mayor yesterday, the same concern was there. That is 100% grant funded. They are apparently the first to be used in the state. I totally agree. The main thing in the bigger picture, that we wanted attention given to that terrible intersection. That's what they come up with, but since then, we have now, which is in this report, with an additional $180,000 going to be spent out there. And obviously there we commented, is that when the work's done, is that all we get for 180 grand? While the work's getting done there and the attention's on that intersection, I think it's a good thing because it's got the attention of the RMS and our state member that intersection is a horrible intersection and we need something done. But I do note your concerns with that. They did go missing on a boat for some time. I was more concerned about that, but they did turn up. And Andre, if you have any comment, please hop in, mate. Okay, good. Okay, councillor, so you had two questions?
Yeah, just back to that section. The simplest way there, and I presume I'll give it on my talk about it once, is to get it, like, just take the top off that hill, so people can see what's coming.
And as Mayor Council, I will never shift in the work I do for the council to get attention and funding for that intersection.
I appreciate it, Peter.
It is
That
horrible.
90 grand would have been a good start for that job. But, secondly, Bryans Gap Road, now, I'm presuming you got a letter from a ratepayer too. I answered it, I gave Andre a copy, more or less saying that it's on the program, but it might take a while.
And the thing with that, councillor, as you've been a long-standing councillor, I understand, what we need to prove there, nor am I an engineer or anything, but being heavily involved with the roads and traffic, which is, as all our committees are very functional and good committee, that we spoke of those speed cameras or car cameras thing. It all needs to do with how much traffic's using the road and to get that up there to warrant such a thing happening. I'm not taking the words out of Andre, I was stealing his thunder, but as councillors, we need to explain that to our ratepayers about doing this stuff. I'm sympathetic with it too. And with the development that's out, which is absolutely fantastic, it's like a little northeastern estate of Tenterfield, out there. So, and as far as being a bus route, all those go into the argument, but I'm happy to keep pursuing that whatever work we get done on that road is going to improve that road. Yeah. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Murray, yes?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Just remind me, what is happening on that road? Is it talking about re-bitching it or bitching it?
There was a request I can share with you, if you don't mind, councillor. This request because of concern ratepayer to do with the condition of the road. There is a lot of residents out there, as there is in many areas. Their concern was that the road needs to be looked at again, that it warrants bitumen because of the increased traffic. It is a bus route. It has got a bit of a yucky entrance into the Mount Lindsay. You're aware of where the road is there, councillor? And all that needs to be noted. I can throw in that to do with vision, the one that works just recently been done on Nutshell Road, where it enters to Brookstone on the eastern side. We've taken the trees in there away. It fixed a big problem there. And me personally, I'd like to see things like that done on that entrance. But these things are always taken seriously, and to the ratepayer who took the time to write the letter, and of their concerns, and that we correspond back and tell them exactly the position of council.
It's through you, Mr Mayor. I just merely a comment.
Yeah.
The road leading up to the lookout has been on the books for 25 years to bitumen.
Yes.
Bitumen it.
Yep.
And nothing has occurred.
Right. Bring it forward again, councillor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Including the white lines.
They can be yellow, councillor, did you know
Oh,
that?
sorry, they're going to be yellow lines.
No, they can be for the snow.
For the snow, and I'm very glad of that, thank you, Mr. Engineer.
Okay, councillors, any more questions? Councillor Berry?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, for some of the councillors in that may solve problems like at Brian's Gap Road. Stephen will steal really Binsky. I think that's right.
That's it.
He put a proposal forward that when that road, works carried at the main road, the main road actually bits from the first 50 metres of the side roads. And that would solve a lot of our problems if that happens.
Thank you for the comments. Councillor McDish, if I can go back because you pushed a button of passion of mine of that Mungall intersection. If we talk about what happened out there, and you never knock back funding as a councillor or as a mayor in a relationship with our state roads minister. You know, I would have loved to see that money when you're heading out of Valentine Road heading west, you know, that Mungall bank there. I mean, I'd love to spend $90,000 with an excavator and a tip truck and take all that away up to the hill. That would improve the vision. But I'm told it's all to do because there's rocks there. So I think we've got the technology today to deal with that. But our representative from RMS, Stephen, we have a wonderful relationship with him, and I have many conversations about that, but we will get there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any more questions, councillors? No more questions, councillor reports. They're all happy to receive a note. Favour? Councillor carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on to page 68. It's the extraordinary meeting to do with the Audit and Risk Committee meeting. It is item RC 20/20. Councillor Ford, Queen on that, would you be happy to move that as a delegate? Thank you. Right, a second, please. Councillor Mike Beckley, thank you. Councillors, any questions to do with, in reference to Kylie, it's her, in her area there, to do with the Audit and Risk Committee meeting? To repeat myself, I do thank everybody for the effort that was put in for that meeting with phone hookups and all that. It all worked well, and I really appreciate it. No questions, no comment? All happy to receive a note, councillors? Against, carried. Thank you. Councillors, we move on to page 70 in your hard copy. It's our resolution register. Got to move in a second, please. It's item RES 10/17. Council resolution register for November 2017. Got to move in a second here, please. Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Seconder. Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. And our resolution register is there. Any questions, comments, councillors? Councillor Bronwyn Petrie.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. To one regarding the sale yards truck wash, it says, have letter of insolvency contract with Mel Whitten for project rescoping, design, I'm just giving some few details on that, possibly is that to save a bit of money on the original plan. And the second one was potential dam upgrade. There's a letter of additional funding support was sent to the Minister for Water, and an advocacy meeting was held with local member Tom Stewart. Just wondering if they were applying it.
Jerry or Wonga, did you want to? Wonga? Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor, with regards to the truck wash, the engagement of the consultant was to assist our manager who was looking after this project in making sure that, first of all, we comply with all the requirements of the deed to take up the funding of $600,000 that has been provided by the state and federal governments for that project. As you'd be aware, when we put in for that project was initially meant to be fully funded, and from memory it was around about a $1.2 million facility. And whilst there has been a report to council in the past that sanctioned us taking up loans as needed to complete the project, what was thought more prudent was that we first of all do a bit of a review of what has been put forward as the scope of the project, with a view to seeing where savings can be achieved, right? So we take up as little loan as possible, but still achieve the same intent, right, of an outcome. So that's where that's directed towards. Sorry, the second question regarding the dam and the ministerial letter that was sent. We haven't had a response as yet. We're going to probably give them another month, and then we'll rate the courage.
If I can just thank you, Andre, Councillor Bronwyn, to hop in there. Our CEO, Andre and myself, had a really good meeting with the state member, and to bring him into the loop, because Thomas has been a great supporter of this, and and he'll do everything he can to make sure that we get our fair say, and if there's any additional funding that we can get. First of all, making him aware of what we're going through while we're out there we're at. So it was a good meeting, and I think you agreed, Terry, and with respect to Big Thomas up to speed, and but that's basically what it is. Any other questions, councillors, to do with the resolution, Mr. Councillor Berry?
Just a comment to thank the General Manager on how quickly he acted on that promotion line about the Canopy Walk. I think that's excellent. Well, it was excellent. It's terrific how quick he started to act on that one.
Thank you. Councillor Sawyer.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. One clarification before I ask the question. On my short time on council, I've seen these status codes A, B and C, but there's never ever been any explanation what A, B and C stand for. Where that?
Oh, okay. A is action required, B is processed, B processed, and C is completed.
Okay, that's the clarification. The question.
Okay.
On page 16 of the report, item 196/17, which I moved the LED light, I'm disappointed to note that some 47 days or 7 weeks elapsed between the resolution going through and the first action date being recorded. The question is, hopefully that will not prevent the lights being in place before Christmas, which was the purpose that I moved the motion for.
Thank you, councillor. I'm sure the staff are aware of that, and do everything we can to get there. Any other questions, councillors, to do with the resolution register? No? All happy to receive a note? In favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, that's the end of our open meeting. I apologise.
My motion
Yep. Yep. I'll allow councillor to put it in there under with 13 with the notice of motion. I'm going to accept it. All right. So we'll just see how it goes, councillor, but by all means.
Council writes and congratulates.
Microphone, councillor, please.
Council writes and congratulates the National Party on the democratic way their candidate was chosen for the electorate. Simple as that.
And that's referring to the community pre-selection, councillor. Before we get in, can I have a second for that? Councillor Tom Peters. Thank you, councillor. Okay, councillor Berry, if you, sorry, councillor Berry, would you like to speak to your notice of motion?
Yeah, I think it's important the way the candidate was selected. I'm being apolitical. If it was Greens or Labor, I'd probably do the same. I'd think about it harder. But no, seriously, I think it's a good way to select a candidate. And I'm sure if the other major parties did the same, we wouldn't have all this infighting and factions and goodness knows what we're having at the moment in all levels of politics. Thanks.
Councillor Peters, before I go to you as a second, councillor, just to clear the air a bit, with respect to Councillor Berry with this, he mentioned to me yesterday about this. I totally agree with anybody that says that we aren't politically aligned, and we aren't. As a councillor, he's quite entitled. I've accepted it as a late notice of motion. I think it's healthy for us to have a view on this or to debate it, and that's what council should do. So that's why I've accepted it. And there's no problem to me. I totally respect council's decision on this, whether you go forward to do such a thing or not, but that's just my view. Councillor Peters, you've been the second of the notice of motion. Did you want to speak?
Thank you, sir. Not really. I think Councillor Berry said all the necessary.
Any speakers against the notice of motion? Councillor Sawyer.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I think it is on dangerous grounds that council gets themselves involved in writing letters to any political party supporting the processes they go through. Councillor Berry is more than welcome to write a personal letter to the party, thanking them and congratulating them, blah, blah. But I think as a council overall, our best interest moving forward is to stay out of the political arena and lobby anybody who gets elected out of the election process rather than writing letters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Murray, you indicated speaking against the notice of motion?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I will go along with Councillor Sawyer on that one. I think we keep our nose out of politics. And B, it was not well run because there's a lot of discontent and a lot of disharmony I was down at this polling booth here, and the number of people that showed up because they thought it was compulsory voting. Now, one of those people took time off to get in here from outlying districts. What they were voting, or how they were voting, I don't know. It's not what I hear, how they were voting. And they felt that they were being duped because there was a phone call came through to most people in the electorate stating that tomorrow, I think it was held on a Saturday, which was very misleading. So I got in touch with the electoral roll, but they didn't even know what Tenerife was. Sadly to say, I went from Canberra to Sydney, back to Brisbane. They had no idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you, councillors. Councillor, just remember, this is a notice of motion which I've accepted. We've had to move in the second. I'm taking those for, obviously. I've taken 2 speakers against. I'm looking for another speaker for the notice of motion.
I'm an against for the second reason.
Just bear with me. But to be fair to the debate, okay? So is there anybody to speak for the notice of motion? Councillor Petrie and Councillor Forbes, we'll take your comments. Obviously, you're going to speak against the notice of motion, and then I'll close the debate, okay? Thank you, Councillor. I'll go to Councillor Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I fully agree with everything Councillor Sawyer said. But further to that, a lot of people in this community disagreed with the process. So therefore, for us to take a position that we supported it means we are therefore discounting the very real feeling of some people. And in addition to what Councillor Murray said, because it was only one polling place, it meant that a lot of people who therefore wanted to stay in the outcome had to travel quite significant distances as opposed to on an actual election compulsory day, they had lots of the little booths elsewhere. So definitely yes.
Thank you. Councillor Forbes?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. No, I'd just like to endorse the sentiments expressed by Councillor Sawyer. I think as a council overall, we have to be analytical.
Fair comment. Okay, councillors, I'll close the debate on the notice of motion which I've accepted. Been moved by Councillor Berry, seconded by Councillor Tom Peters. And Councillor Royston congratulates the National Party in a democratic way their candidate was chosen for the electorate. All in favour? Oh, sorry, right to reply. Apologise, Councillor. You're right to reply, Councillor Berry.
Thanks. With the phone call, people should listen to the phone call. It's quite clear what was happening. The motion is about the process. It's not about political parties. It's simply about the process of congratulating the National Party for having the foresight to allow people to choose a candidate. And if people read or listened to whatever propaganda the National Party put out, for better or for worse, I'm apolitical. I'm in no way running this as a National Party thing at all, so I just think people should congratulate the National Party on their effort. I mean, if the Labor Party did the same, you wouldn't have the factions. If the Liberal Party did the same, you wouldn't have fractions. And maybe some of the other smaller parties. I know there's quite a discontent with the way some of the politicians have chosen Queensland for certain electorates, and it would have made a lot of difference if it went to the public. Whether you agree with the process or not, I think it's the most democratic way you could possibly have of choosing a candidate. Now, and people did travel for miles to vote. That's up to the party. The party is the one that has to fund this. It's not funded by the public, so it's all to do with what funds the National Party have. I know people went from Urbanville as far as Benalbo or Casino to Kyogle to vote. So people felt strongly enough about it. I just think they should be congratulated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Right, that'll close the debate, councillors. So the motion's there, and once again, it's moved by Councillor Berry, seconded by Councillor Peters. All in favour? Against? The motion's lost. Thank you, councillors, for your comments. It is noted, and I do respect it. Thank you, Councillor Berry. Okay, councillors, we'll move on to a confidential business. Would someone like to move to remove the confidential, please? Sorry, start again. Would someone like to move to remove the confidential, please? Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Murray. Okay, councillors, been moved and seconded. Come out of confidential, and the committee was in favour. Now I'm back in open to do with the matter which was spoken about, the confidential matter. Amendment's been moved that the recommendation lay on the table subsequent to a further report to council. Councillors, I thank you very much for your attendance today. Spirited bidding. I close the meeting and the meeting is ended in peace and harmony. I thank you all.